But if you are renting, you know that the property, you now have a property that you can buy. Sometimes you can also add in as a condition that all the rents that you're paying now goes towards the purchase price when you do. So there, it's like an open book. You can do anything with these options, and it's an agreement between you and the seller. You can agree on anything, and it's a massive, massive, massive strategy on itself. But it's also a very useful one for especially people who want to get on the property ladder. They can only rent now. They don't have the finances to buy. And just to touch on quickly, because there was a question I saw earlier around people who want to buy property but cannot do that now as a mortgage because you have been in the country for only a few months or a couple of years. There are lenders who would lend you if even if you've been in the country for 6 months. So the time that you've been in the country doesn't matter. Lenders, the lenders out there who would lend you, the interest rate might be slightly higher than the high street lenders, but at least you can get on the property ladder now if you can. So your status or the length of time you stay in the country shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so let's move on to another strategy: rent to rent. Rent to rent is very popular. Lots of people do it. It's a very low entry. It's low entry into the property investment ladder. Essentially, you're renting the property from a landlord, guaranteeing the rent to the landlord, and then so you might rent the whole house from the landlord, for instance. Especially with this new Renters' Rights Act, um, landlords really don't want to deal with tenants anymore. They just want to ensure that okay, they've signed a deal for 5 years, they're always going to get money in the account every month. So you can rent the house from the landlord, the whole house from the landlord, and then sublet it individually per room to other tenants, and then you get your profit from there. Um, so it's a very popular strategy that lots of people are doing. Again, for you to do this, get educated before doing it. Again, I'm just introducing you to the concept so that you know, um, so that you know what it is. For rent to rent, you don't have an option to buy. You're essentially just renting the property. If the value of the property is 250K now, and you're paying the landlord £1,000 a month. By the time the rent expires or the lease expires on the property, you're essentially leaving the property with nothing. You're not gaining any value. If there was an uplift on the value of the property, as you saw the trend I showed earlier, if the property value increases by 50,000, for instance, you don't get anything on rent to rent. If you did a lease option, by the way, and you've locked in the price, whatever increase in the value of the property, you gain that. So with rent to rent, you're essentially just renting the property and then giving it back to the owner. And it's good if you don't have good credit history or your credit history is shaky. You don't do any credit check. It's only the landlord that essentially checks whether you can pay for the rent. There's no stamp duty involved or other costs that are involved in buying the house. You're essentially just renting it out. Um, Service accommodation is another strategy that you can do. It's similar to rent to rent. It's like rent to rent essentially, but you're not renting it out as a long-term rent. You're essentially doing it out as a almost like operating the hospitality business where you are lodging people per night rather than on a monthly basis or yearly basis. Uh, Service accommodation is also a very good strategy to do because it's popular among travelers. And you have to ensure that the location is very important for service accommodation. You don't want to do service accommodation in a very remote area where no one goes to. You need it to be very close to to a city center, or to a city where people want to come in, stay, or where contractors are, and they need properties to stay for Sometimes they rent it for like weeks or months, and then they're in it and they're out. But it's a very good strategy. You're renting it out, and the daily or nightly pay is can be very substantial. So it's a very good strategy to also think about. So like I said, with service accommodation, location is extremely important.
Okay, so sorry if I may cut you briefly. We have two questions. One is, can you buy a house as BTL, buy to let, or HMO and live there with your family, pending when you buy your own home? Then you rent it out later. Do you want to take that first before I go to the next question?
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand that question. Can you what?
Can you buy a house as buy to let or HMO and live there with your family, pending when you buy your own home? Then you
What do
can
you,
rent out the buy to
what,
let or
what,
HMO
do-
later.
what do you mean by leave them with your family?
Like you living there with your family, the buy to
Oh,
let,
leave there. Okay, yeah, and then you can what?
and then so pending when you buy your own home, and then later you can rent it out to like rent it out later.
Yes, but so you buy it as a buy to let.
Mm,
You stay in the property as
yeah.
a so lenders don't like that. So some lenders would actually have it as a condition of the mortgage that you cannot as the owner of the property live in as a so if you didn't buy to let now I didn't talk about this, but if you want to go into property as an investment, the advice will be to do it via as a business. So you create a business and you buy the property in the business name. And this is just for tax purposes. It's a lot more tax efficient to do that way. If you buy it in your name,
Multi-stream.
essentially every income that comes into that property as an investment from rent, you'll be paying tax on it. And if you're already
Thank
working
you.
full time, any income that comes into the property is added to the income that you're getting from your other job. So if you want to do this properly, you have to, as a professional, do it as a business. Now, lenders, whether you can live there as on a buy-to-let mortgage, lenders don't like that because some give as a condition that the director or the family of the director is not going to live in the property. So if you're doing it, buying it as a buy to let, then it has to be a buy to let. Obviously, people do it. They sign the in this and something. Obviously, these lenders don't come out to see who is actually living in the property, but that's what they say. But I don't see any. Um, so if you're doing it as a buy to let, buy it as a buy to let in the business in your business name and rent it out. And when you want to live in, when you want to buy a property for yourself to live in, then buy one in your own name, personal name, to live in as a residential home. But keep business as a business, and then your residential as a residential in your own name.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I believe it has gotten that. The other question here is the agreement you speak of. I believe that's with regards like to last.
Lease
Yeah,
option. Lease
yeah.
option.
The agreement you speak of, is it like an official document agreement?
Oh yes, it is. So at first, with lease option, you it's a conversation you have with the vendor, and once you agree, you have they call it heads of terms. It's almost like okay, like a summarization of the agreement that you've had. Then you take all that summary to your solicitor, and he um I's is dotted and every T is crossed. In property, by the way, never ever try to do any property conveyancing by yourself. You can't even, it's difficult for you, almost impossible for you to do that. Everything has to go through your solicitor. Any agreement you're making, get a solicitor involved to protect yourself and protect whoever you're buying from. So yes, it has to be a full, proper legal document.
Okay, I think those are the questions for now. Maybe we can move on.
Cool. So deal sourcing is another strategy that you can do. Um, Deal sourcing essentially is that you obviously knowing about properties and understanding properties and how to analyze deals. So you analyze the deal, you find a property deal, the numbers are good, but you don't want to either do the refurbishment or you don't have the money to do the refurbishment yourself, you can sell that deal to someone else. So myself, for instance, um, I'm very, very happy to buy deals from deal sourcers. If there was a property deal, really good deal, because deal sourcer is essentially going out there to scour the market, see where the deals are, doing the numbers, crunching numbers, and selling the deals on. So deal sourcers, some of the deals sometimes typically 3 to 5K. If you do 3 to 5K. If you do 2 deals a month, that's about 6K, 6 to 10K a month. So deal sourcing is another way for you to make money in property. If you want to go into property investment, you don't have to do any deal yourself. All you need to do is to get the education and know how to find these deals, negotiate these deals, and then get yourself into a network of other property investors. And I can help with that. Like there are lots of different networks all around the country that you can get into and then sell the deal on to other people. There's but again, all of this you need to first of all get the formal education and know what the legislation and the legal side of how you do this. So again, so that you cover yourself and protect yourself and ensuring that you're not just working for free. So again, introducing the concept of deal sourcing, you can find properties, find property deals, and then sell the property deal to someone else if you don't have the money or if you don't want to do it yourself. Cool. And property development, which is so like the high end side of things, is where you get involved in building new properties or converting existing properties for resale or for rental. So either building blocks of flats or converting existing commercial properties to flats, and then you're either selling them or renting them out. So that's essentially property development. But this is for very, very experienced investors with access to huge capital. You need a lot of money to get into property development. Sometimes, yeah, you need either to be able to raise money from investors, other investors, because it's capital intensive. In terms when you get into development, it's a lot more than you just buying the property and refurbishing it and then renting or selling or flipping the property. There's a lot. And the pros is that the profit in development is a lot higher. And the risk also a lot higher. There's regulatory hurdles that you need to cross. Sometimes you need planning. You need to wait for months to get planning, or you may even buy deals or development deals that already have planning, which is good. But then they would have put in their markup price because the person selling the deal would have gone through the whole planning process and then added their own profit to it. So it's capital intensive. There's lots of regulatory hurdles, but again, like they say, no pain, no gain. The higher the risk, the higher the reward. Um, so that's on property development. I'm going to pause here again to see if there are any questions.
No questions in the chat except we want to allow for open questions, but I know I'll have to like share some updates before then. So I don't know how you'd rather we go about that.
Okay, so let me play this video. I just wanted to show you again for those who are looking at property investments, what the possibilities are. This is a project I'm well finishing in Stoke-on-Trent. It was a 24 bed HMO that we built from ground up. It's a development. Bought the property. It was 6 terrace properties, adjoined properties that was dilapidated. It was really bad. So we had to knock the whole thing down. Started off with piling, and then foundation, building the whole thing from scratch. This particular video is not updated because the project essentially has finished. We're just kind of doing some snagging and trying to get the completion certificate from building control and the rest, which hopefully should be done in this week or next. But I'm going to play the video quickly and let you watch.
Like it was yesterday, I was praying for a miracle, scared to have a little hope. And now looking back today, seeing all the things you've done, I can't even add them up. 1, 2, 3, up to infinity. I've run out of numbers before I could thank you for everything. God, I'm still counting my blessings. Father, I'm excited. Now it's time. Let me keep counting my blessings. Oh, and I can't cut down.
Yeah. So yes, like I said, that video is few months few months ago. So, but now, yeah, the property is pretty much ready and ready to go. So I think, Yomi, do you have any questions or?
No question is in the chat yet, but I believe people would have like people would be able to should people be able to raise their hands now and I present quickly before you take them?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
All right. Cool. So yeah, guys, I believe we have questions and we can have our hands raised while we basically have those questions addressed. I'll be sharing just some updates. Okay, cool. So I'll be taking the questions very briefly. I'll just share some quick notices from my own end, and then we'll proceed to taking the question. So if you'd like to ask your questions and the likes, just have your hands raised. I will take them in that order. Um, can we hear me, please?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, perfect. I just wanted to be sure. So I'll be taking the questions in that order. So I'll just share my screen in a bit. I think my screen was just showing some very funny things. Um, okay, yeah, just 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, yeah. So I hope we can see my screen now. I'm sharing my screen. If it's not showing yet, it should show in a bit. Okay, so we have quite a number of questions already, and then we have some questions that were from the WhatsApp group. So I'll be mixing those questions with this. But just a very quick update, guys. So the truth of the matter is the 1 hour cannot be sufficient, right, for addressing either questions or even having to go so deep into end to end UK mortgage, property investment, and all of that. So we are looking to have like a full day workshop this next month. That's 27th of June. And as I said, it's a full day workshop. So from 9 to 5 thereabouts. It's a Saturday, and the session itself will cover every single detail. Around the session will cover every single detail, around all of this that Kara has had to talk about. And then also because it's in situ, it's like physical events. Although we've made modalities for those who are not able to physically make it, but um, it's going to be very, very detailed. It's going to be like there's going to be like answers right there, and then we're able to go much more deeper into all of this bits. I've been in one of these sessions, and I tell you, it's a session you need to be. It's a session you need to be. So, as I said, it's going to be on the 27th of June, and it's a Saturday. And one of the persons that also will be coming is Shirley Sim. So she's a mortgage and protection specialist, because I know that a number of persons also have questions around. Okay, how do I get like some funds for my first mortgage, even for those that are looking for their very first property and all of that. And she'll be happy to provide like much details around how you can do this. There's a dedicated session that would also be able to meet with some partners who are able to advise and guide and do all of those things. And then you're able to network. And another beautiful thing about Shirley is even if you're on skilled worker visa, right, she's able to guide you on how you can get your first mortgage, right? So whether it's skilled worker visa, global talent visa, or even innovator visa, she's focused on highly skilled professionals. So that's able to help you. And this is the modality of the day. So we're starting 9 a.m. sharp. And I'll share the location details also very shortly. So by morning, we'll be, going into details around understanding mortgages in the UK, the property investment, and all of those things, and all of these things that um, Kara has had to share so far is going to be addressing all of that. Midday we'll be having lunch. Lunch itself is provided. It's a buffet lunch, and then you'll also be able to network with the speaker, Caro, and other speakers that will be having on site, and then you'll be able to network with other attendees. Like I mentioned, we host sessions like this both in situ, that's physically and as well virtually. So beyond property markets, we host networking breakfast and the likes, just for people to network, meet, and get to see how the market, not just the property market now, but how the UK market itself is generally, whether career wise, professionally, personal life, and all of those. So in the afternoon, we continue, buy to let, portfolio building, every other thing that's Kara's had to talk about, and throughout it's going to be Q and A. The truth is, Kara prefers physical meetings. It does not really enjoy virtual. So this that is doing right now is a huge favor, honestly, because when I reached out to him, the first thing he said is it going to be physical? I said, okay, wait, we'll do the physical, but let's have the virtual first. And so basically, and the beautiful thing also is the fact that Kara is really is excited having more people to to be on the property ladder, doing this investment. If someone could leave his day job and focus fully on this, and we can see some of these things that he's doing, I think it's something that it would be nice for a lot of us to as well jump on. So the location is going to be in Birmingham, Birmingham New Street. The full details will be shared once we sign up, but we've been able to get a very good spot, basically at the city center. Just once you're getting out of the train station, less than 4 minutes walk, you'll be able to. I want to see if I can share the image of the sports. It's like basically I can't wait to I can't wait to be there. That's the truth of matter. I'll be sharing the image. Just 1 minute. Yeah. So here's the screen. Okay, I have a screenshot. I think. Just give me a minute, please. Trying to have this shared, but unfortunately, it's not entering the screen. Okay, I'll probably have that shared after this. So it's going to be in Birmingham New Street anyway, and details will be shared after once we sign up. And the fee itself is very, being honest, we intentionally went this low, £100, and that will basically cover for logistics and every other thing. And as we said, breakfasts, tea will be provided. Also, buffet lunch would as well be covered. So this is a huge bargain, being honest. And we intentionally kept it at early bird of £100 because the actual fee set on the website is between £100 for early bird. So an early bird obviously will close within like 24 hours ish, and then the official price is around £50. So that's £150 for the official price. But early bird, I think we made a mistake here. It's meant to be the bank transfer details. We'll share that on the call anyway. So you can use the QR code here and just sign up for the paid session, full free day, full day. It's a full day event, as I mentioned, and it's going to be fully engaging. The everything is well organized already. We'll also share like the bank details and all of those things. So I think that's just like the little update from my end. um I would take this off the screen temporarily. I'll still come back to talk about this, and then any question we might have around this, but we'll be going back to the question and answer. So I'll be taking the questions one after a time. So I think we'll yield the floor to some persons that have questions. So I will take it from, I think we've got Abiodun. So I'll have the mic. I think I'll give you the privilege. Just a minute. I think I'll make the mics open. Just 1 minute, please. Okay, I think you can go, Abiodun. You're the first person, so you can go ask your
Yes.
question.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Thank you so much, Yomi. My name is Abiodun. Thank you so much, Caro, as well. I have two questions. I've been in the property space for some time, and then as an outsider, not as an insider, and then my question is, with the new regulation that has come in the last 6 months, a lot of people, especially retail property investors, are exiting the market because of a number of the rules that has been tightened up, and then that kind of sent the market into like a bearish market. No, it's actually exactly bearish, but a number of retail investors are exiting the market, which then creates opportunities for bigger guys to then take over the market. So my question is, how is this? How do you see this? I know for us it's an opportunity, but how are you seeing the direction of the government, for example, in terms of this market, and also in terms of retail investors exiting the market because of the new rules? That's number one. And then number two, I will be interested to attend this session with my wife. Is the early bird discount? Can it be discounted for two people, or is still 200? So
Um, I will answer the last one before Cairo answers. So the early bird
yeah,
is
yeah. And
individual.
also,
We've
yeah,
not
sorry,
made
sorry. The
room
last bit is
for.
like I've reached out to Carlos a few times on his WhatsApp, but I've not had luck, in terms of like having a conversation with him. I know if I ping him again, he probably remember me now, but I mean, I'm hoping that I'll be able to have a conversation with him because most time he's always on red. So basically, these are my two questions, and thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much for a fantastic job you are doing, Yomi.
Thank you.
You see, I'm covering my face. I apologize. If I've given you my number, essentially, I am busy, and that's the truth. But if you send a message and I don't reply you, or if you call, please send another message. You have to carry on until I respond to you. So please, if you send a message once and you wait some time and I don't reply you, just send another message. So that it comes, it's at the front of my thoughts. So I apologize if I left you on red.
I just did it again. Sorry, I just pinged you now.
No, that's fine. Oh geez, I forgot your question. What's your question?
And yeah, my question is really because in the last 6 months,
market. So people leaving the market is these. So there are lots of accidental landlords that are doing properties. So people who have just most of them were buying properties in their names and doing stuff for many years. And essentially, it's like you answered it yourself. It's an opportunity for you to get on the market as a professional property investor. Like I said, if you want to do this thing as an investment in property, do it properly and do it as a professional business. First, you have to get educated properly and know exactly what you are doing. And people who are exiting the market are essentially people who may have an idea or may not know, or for whatever reason that they exist in the market. It's an opportunity for you. So my solicitor said I did a refinance on a property about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, completed the refinance 4 weeks ago. And she was like, she's so busy. And she was busy because it was just getting to the 1st of May deadline where the Renters' Rights Act was taking place. And she was like, there are lots of lease option deals that she had to complete because a lot of landlords now don't want to do these ASTs anymore. And then it was a huge opportunity for professional property investors to get lease option deals at that time because people were exiting the markets and either leasing their property as lease option or just selling off their property. So the property market is a good market. Whatever storm or whatever happens, it's for you to weather that storm and understand what's happening rather than just kind of make rash decisions. So what I would say is get educated so you know and sense opportunities where government make regulations. Because when there's a regulation coming in, there's an opportunity somewhere. So you need to know how to latch onto the opportunity while others are running helter skelter and selling and jumping ship. And to the other one about the I think, well, you may will answer the payment, but definitely, I just want to say that, like I said earlier on, I'm not collecting any dime for this or the thing in Birmingham. £100 is actually it's a good rate because again, I don't know how much your Mie and Co bottlers are going to get from it, but it's essentially probably just enough to get logistics around the whole program. I've attended events like this on a one-day event where people are paying £1,000, £500 to attend. This is essentially to help you. And if you've seen it as you paying £100, that is a lot of money. Please, it isn't. It's an investment that you're making in yourself that would get you a lot more investments later on. So please don't look at it as this. And I'm sure maybe your mate can do some deal with you and your wife. Again, I'm only coming there to speak, talk about properties. And yeah, I'll leave them to do the organization and all that stuff.
Do you offer investor group for example, people who don't have the skin to do this, where they give you money as an investor? Do you have something like that, or you don't?
As a business, I do. If you get into property, if you start property investment, you would see that you're always needing capital because there's always a deal there to be done, and there's only so much money that you can have on your own as in your back pocket. If you're doing development, you're always needing money. You're always needing money. So yes, short answer is yes, I do have something where people can come in to invest and they get a return. And all this is going to be, it's not about, and Caro or Caro knows you or whatever. It's all going to be strict legal documents that will be signed and protected by yourself protected and also me protected. So yes, I do have opportunity for people to invest if they are interested in having hands-off property investment.
Okay, thank you very much for that. For the sake of time, I would have to take Wheezy. And that's the next person.
Okay.
Yeah, the name here is Wheezy. So if Mr. Wheezy or Mrs. Wheezy could or Miss Wheezy could just unmute yourself and you can ask a question. We also have some questions in the chat I would be taking shortly. But please, yeah, Wheezy.
Yeah. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Very informative, Carol. Thanks very much. I'll go straight to it. As regards, lots of people are very, very particular on entering the property market via home ownership first. But do you think it's also maybe a smart idea for collectives to do like an investor property route first, then maybe use returns to secure residential later awards? Do you think it's like a smart play? Thank you.
Did you get that?
Yes, I did. Bear me 2 seconds, please.
All right.
Yeah, your question is if it's good to do investment first rather than your own residential. Was that correct?
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah. So it depends on you. It depends on your situation, really. If you're renting in a place and you want to have a home of your own, that you are a mortgage of your own, then fine. If you want to do investment first, you think, okay, you want to carry on staying in the place that you are and you want to start off an investment first. I think essentially it's a personal decision. I'm not really sure there is a right or wrong answer whether you do investment first or you do your own residential first. I had my residential first, and it was because I just wanted to get somewhere to stay. I got into the property investment later on after I bought my own residential property. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a personal decision for you to make whether you want to get into property investment and start making money off property first. rather than getting your own personal one. But others might see it differently. I see that as it's your essentially your own decision to make. But if you're doing property investment, you're investing and essentially making money. Your own property as well, you can get capital growth. So personally, I think it's your own decision to make.
Okay, thank you. I hope that's helpful. We have another.
Wizi, is that okay or?
Oh, okay, no problems. Thanks much. Yeah,
All
appreciate
right,
it.
great. Okay, cool. I think we have SK. Is this the same SK I know? SK, is that you?
I don't know if it's me or I don't know if you know me.
He's
Good
SK.
evening. Yeah, it's the same SK, Good evening.
SK,
Mr. Carol,
how's it going?
I'm looking at this project now and I'm wowed. I remember seeing the plan of that project. I remember you talking about raising the floor,
Yeah.
like putting the third and fourth floor, something like that. And I even remember you talking about the council being interested in the property and all of that. That's like seeing it now come to real life. I'm very, very much impressed. Well done and congratulations.
That is, it's gone with tears, sorrows, and blood.
I
I
know,
can
I can
imagine.
imagine. Because looking back now, I think it's been over a year now, haven't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Again, like I said, if you're doing development, there are lots of things that can happen. It's capital intensive. You get good money, but also lots of things can go wrong. And I can write a book about issues and stuff that happen on that project. But the good thing is now, hopefully soon closing a deal with the housing association. They want to rent the whole thing up, and they are telling us £11,000 a month. We're still
Wow, that's good. That's good. Anyways, my question is about the lease option thing, right? So the lease option, I understand that there's meant to be there's meant to be a fee being paid to the landlord, right? So just to put in perspective, just imagine now that somebody pays rent of like £1,000 on a property and they want to lease it for like maybe a year or thereabouts. So whilst they're leasing it, do they keep paying that £1,000 or they have to pay something extra to entice the landlord? If they're paying something extra, what they're paying extra, would that count towards discounts when they're ready to buy?
So by law, you need to, as a minimum, the option, there has to be an option pay of £1 by law. But it's just to be honest, yeah, by law the minimum is £1. Whether the rent counts towards the purchase price or doesn't is entirely up to you and the vendor. So it depends on how you negotiate the deal. So you may say to the vendor, okay, let's say the market rent is £1,000, for instance, and the vendor is happy to take £1,000, and you say, okay, whatever purchase price, again, say it's 200k or 250, that's the price that you buy it. The vendor may say, okay, because the market rent now is £1,000. So, okay, let's say in 5 years' time, the property is potentially going to be worth 300,000, let's say. And if the vendor is giving you a discount on the strike price or what he thinks the strike price would be, and says that the 1,000 would count towards the strike price, then he may say that, okay, let that money count towards it. Or he may say, okay, you know what, you're paying 1,000 now, and it's going to be just the 1,000. It's not going to count towards it. It totally depends on how you negotiate the deal. So it may count, it may not count. It's all down to you and the vendor. What negotiations take place on what you think the property rental is worth now and what you think is going to be worth in 2, 3, or 1 year, depending on what length of option you take.
Copy that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, SK. We have 2 more questions as to people who raised hands, and then I'll go into the chat. So we have Namdi. Are you there, Namdi? Okay, okay,
yes,
yeah,
hello?
cool.
Okay, so I asked my question in the chat, but I'm gonna just say it again. So I asked 2 questions. So what's the most efficient method of customer acquisition to prevent your investment going stale? That's the first one. And the second one is, can you pay the initial mortgage deposit from loans and is it a viable route?
So the loan side of things, again, some vendors don't, lenders don't like it. Well, most of them probably don't even like it. They want you to have monies that you have, but there are monies that you've either saved or pay out of your investment somewhere. But there are offline ways that you can do this. The first property I bought, I did pay with some loans, but at the time they didn't check. So I got a loan from the bank to add to the other monies I had. And the broker that was helping me then essentially said, if they ask, just say it's a gift that came from because I transferred it from one account to another. It's a gift that came from your parents or something. And what the lender would ask then is to get a letter from whoever is gifting you that money to say that they don't have any say or they don't have any thing to do with the property. But essentially, they don't like it. They don't like you taking loans to as a deposit. Some might, because there are lots of lenders in the market that are looking to lend money. In fact, they'll be chasing you that, okay, come and take. So some might have certain criteria to say, okay, they may accept, but generally it's they don't like it.
Okay, thank you.
And your first question, I don't really get what you're asking.
For example, say you're doing like a rent to HMO or something.
Mhm.
What's the most efficient way of ensuring that you always have people in the rooms, of acquiring the customers, so you're not just paying rent?
Okay, you can. So social housing is becoming really popular these days. With supported living. Yeah, so there are lots of care providers out there that are looking for properties, and they are essentially, they're not even signing ASTs. They are signing long-term 5-year contracts. Some are even signing 10-year contracts with you. So if you're looking for long-term listing, care providers are probably one route to go to, and they pay. Some even pay more than market rent. More than market rents on the properties. So if that's the question you're asking, yes, care providers are one way to rent out your properties on a long-term basis.
What's your most efficient method? What do you
That's
use?
that's what I'm looking. I have a couple of properties now that I want to give to care providers because especially with this Renters' Rights Act, that there's no more 1 year or 12 months ASTs anymore. Short tenancies anymore. So essentially, your tenants can give you notice, or I think it's a month or 2 months notice now or so, and say they are leaving your property. So for you to have a long-term thing, it's to get leases with companies. So it's no longer tenancy. You're essentially having a lease with the company. So you can do long-term leases with them. So that's what I'm doing.
No, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Namdi. And I think the last on the raised hands is Jacobs.
Hi guys, can
Yeah.
you hear
Hi.
me?
All
Can
right.
you hear
Yeah,
me
we can
clearly?
hear you.
Hi, Caro is Teapot. Hello everybody.
By the way, Teapot
Oh,
is a Oga the topic property.
right. So I just want to add my voice to what Caro has said. I'm really proud of you, Caro. I said that to you in the text message a few minutes ago. I share history in terms of training on property with Caro, and I want you to take everything he's told you guys to heart. Three things I want to mention that is really important for you to get in this journey. Number one is education. Learn as much as you can, as hard as you can. Every conversation you have, everywhere you go, um, just learn what's going on. What can you find out? What is happening? It doesn't have to be a place you know. It could just be somewhere you found yourself, and I've come across different properties like that as well. Secondly, it doesn't have to cost you money, but it will cost you time. This is not something you can delegate to anyone. You have to go out there and look for the properties, see the properties, speak to the owners or speak to whoever is in charge of those properties. It's going to cost you that time. And lastly, and mostly important, know you have people you can call, because back in the days, we tried to do this as a private also, and we don't get in touch, and then we run through things and we lose money. I'm no longer in the individual property thing. I'm going into full-on development now, to be honest. And that's a lot of money that I don't have. That means I need to find the people who have the money. So wherever you find yourself, do this education is really, really important. Like I said, I share historical training with Caro, and I know how much it cost us, and it's not cheap. So, well done, Caro. Well done, Borderless. I intended to join this space, and I did. And I'm very proud of you guys. And I'm happy that you guys are bringing this knowledge to everybody. And one last thing, it is based on your personal circumstances. Don't get carried away by whatever is happening in the market. People are leaving, it is not your problem. You are at a different position stage in life, and those people. If people are leaving, you don't know why. If people are coming in, you don't know why. You just focus on your own target. Set a target for yourself. What do you want to do? Then go ahead and do it. Seek help, call for help, reach into your network and speak to them. There are builders, there are lawyers, there are financial brokers, there are mortgage advisors everywhere. Okay, I just want to add my voice to Taro because I see he's speaking here, and I just thought, well, I'm going to support him, and he's told you the absolute truth. Okay, so I just want to add my voice to that guy. So well done, Caro. Well done, whoever set this up. Good job you guys are doing, and I'm very, very grateful that you are doing it. Unlike Caro, I could not leave my 9 to 5 because my 9 to 5 refused to let me go.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I'm stuck in it. But I am also a property developer and investor, or whatever you guys call it now. But yeah, I just want to support Caro on this call. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abatipo. Thank you so much. Yeah, he's also one of the property developers, the Nigerians who are developing in the property markets in the UK that you can always rely on, because essentially you need this knowledge. You need people around you, and with him, you can also go to ask questions and see how or where you can help, because even like I said, till today, okay, I just came back from holiday. I have property events that I'm attending, networking events, because these are places that you meet people either that may want to do JVs or share knowledge or just share ideas, or you find deals, and you learn things that's because you have to keep updating yourself in terms of what's going on in property market in the UK. So definitely, it's you cannot come for an event like this and just say, okay, that's it, I'm done. If you do that, you find out in a year's or 2 years' time, you're still where you are in terms of property wise, not life. You haven't moved. It's something. It's a journey you have to keep on going and carry on doing over and over and over again.
Thank you very much. I think on that note, I'll still mention, in case anyone is still looking to sign up, we are getting some sign-ups already, and pretty much the early bird, I think we limited it to just about 50 people max and nothing more than that, and we'll stop like the early bird. So if you're looking to still take advantage of the early bird, please do. I'll be taking some questions. I think the QR code is still on the screen and the bank transfer in case you want to do that. So I would be going to some questions here in the chats. I think Bankit said, And then in case you've probably like answered at any question here, please feel free, let me know. I can just move on to the next. So one says, which is better, buying a flat within a high rise or standalone building? And okay, I think the other one probably was answered earlier. It says, do you know of any property investment club or co-op where members help themselves and to support and invest? So two questions. Buying a flat within a high rise or standalone, which is better? Then if you know any investment club.
How do you answer that? Buying a flat in a high rise or stand, it's a flat is a flat. You can. So if you find a flat in a high rise, what do you want to do with the flat? Do you want to rent it out? Because the strategy matters. Because that's the one of the most important things: the location, the strategy, and then the property. So if you're buying this high rise flat in the middle of London, for instance, are you looking to own it and live in there, or you're looking to own it or buy it and rent it out? And if you're renting it out, all that should matter really to you is what the potential capital growth is and what rent are you getting, what's your rental yield. This session wasn't about for us to talk about how to calculate rental yield. If you sign up to the event in Birmingham, we'll be doing, I said deep dive, but again, there's always deep dive in context, how to analyze property deal, how to do calculate property deals, how to see whether this deal is going to be profitable or not. So these are the things that we're going to be doing a deep dive on. So you need to be able to analyze the deal and see whether you're going to make profit. What yield you're going to get? What return are you going to get from that investment? So whether it be in a high rise or low rise, or it doesn't really matter, because location, the property, your strategy should come into place first before thinking of what kind of property you're buying.
Okay, I hope that really addresses Bat's question. Oh, sorry, that was Banky. So these two questions, I think they're quite similar. One says, one of the major challenges that scared people is capital. How much capital is needed? Or how much capital would you need to start a property investment? And the other also says, what's the minimum amount one can save in order to get a mortgage as a single household? Yeah, I think you can probably.
So in terms of what's the how much capital would you need to start? So the thing that the first property we bought, although this was a while ago now, in Middlesbrough, was £25,000. That's the whole property, and then we spent around 20k to refurbish the property. You don't have to. There's no particular amount that you need to have. Again, it would depend on what location. So someone who's buying a 3-bedroom house, dilapidated house in London, might need about 100k in their pocket, or maybe 150k in their pocket. But someone that's doing the same in somewhere like Middlesbrough might only need 30 or 40k. So how much you need depends on where you're buying, on what strategy. Are you doing a rent to rent? If you're doing a rent to rent, for instance, you don't need 10k or 50k. You may just need 2 months or 3 months worth of rent to pay the landlord, if that's what the landlord says. So it would depend on the strategy that you're doing and the location. There's no one size fits all. Say this is how much you need. If you're doing property development, you've been needing quite a lot. But again, with all of this, if you're able to raise capital from other people, you may not need to use your own personal money. Other people can do the funding on the projects or the investments for you. So there's no one size fits all of this is exactly how much you need. But if you need a mortgage, again, it depends on where you are looking to buy. There are lenders that now they're only looking for 5% deposit, and they'll take 5% deposit. There are lenders that would lend money to you if you've just come to the country 3 months ago or 6 months ago. In fact, there are lenders who would lend to you on COS, and in fact, there's a bank that I'm working with that's their own niche market. They're looking at professionals on COS, or professionals who have come here on visas that haven't been here for a long time. That's their niche market, and they're looking to lend to those kind of people. So yes, in terms of capital, that it will depend on the property that you're buying and where you're buying. That would determine how much capital you need. And the other question you said that was relating to this was,
Let me get that just for seconds. I've actually scrolled out. So okay, I think minimum amount one can save in order to get mortgage as a single household. I think it's quite pretty much you've sort of answered that really because location and all of that. Okay, I think this other question, second to the last question, because there are loads of questions here. Can you pay the initial mortgage deposit from loans, and is it a viable route? I know you also said something similar to this earlier, but do you still want to touch on it, or do we just pick up other questions?
I have answered that. It depends on the lender, and most lenders don't like it. But just to give you a tip, actually, so if you're looking to get a mortgage, whether mortgage as a for your own residential, or if you're looking at a business, ensure that the account you want to use for that mortgage is clean. When I say clean, is that you can answer for any amount of money that has come in and gone out of that account. If you are doing other things that people are paying money to your account or whatever, and that sort of thing, you might want to have a separate account that you are not showing to the bank. But ensure that your account is clean, and lenders they do anti-money laundering checks. And the account that you're using, if they see a transaction and you cannot explain that transaction sufficiently, they will just say that they don't want to do it. I had an issue where we're doing this deal, and it was even our solicitor that was doing this, but obviously we had to like sack her at the end of the day, and just because she was terrible. There was a in fact, it was my business partner's sister-in-law that paid. She invested about 100K, and she got the money from her employment as a one-off like payment. They paid her some money from her work a few years ago, and the solicitor said she wanted to see all of that. She was doing too much. She said she wanted to see all of that, and she sent the details. And the solicitor was then doing. So it was in dollars. She was she was converting the money in today's rate, and asking just some stupid questions. I was like, look, come on, as in. So essentially, what I'm trying to say is that you would have to justify every single amount coming into your account. Some won't even see the beginning of how the money got into your account, the trace. Who did the money come from? Where did they get the money from? So it's just ensure that your account is clean. Some solicitors are crazy on that front, like this one. I can even warn you and tell you the firm and never to use them ever again. But yeah, just be careful. Have a clean account. What's the other question?
Okay, I think the other questions are more on the WhatsApp group. I would leave most of them to conversations within the WhatsApp group. But I'll just pick one out of it all. And I think just a few seconds. Okay, so this person actually was having to talk about difference between fixed rate and variable rates as it applies to mortgage, and then the benefit of remortgage and its untold risk. So that's just, I think those are the two questions I'll take together as the very last for the session.
Fixed rate and variable rate essentially is that when you get a mortgage, the fixed rate is some is fixed for 2 years, some even 1 year, some 5 years. That rate, if it's 5%, that rate is fixed for the length of time that you signed. Whether you signed 2 years or 5 years, that rate 5% is fixed. If it's variable rate, by the word, the rate is variable. So it's going to be based on, so it may be 1.5% above the base rate. So I think currently the base rate is 3.75% from the Bank of England. So the variable rate would always be variable based on the rates, the base rate from the Bank of England. So when you see that the Bank of England has held interest rate 3.7%, or it's gone down, it's gone up, whatever, mortgage that you pay is going to be going. Mary Akinwa, you're.
So let me just get that muted. Yeah.
So the mortgage you then pay is going to be moving up and down based on the Bank of England base rates. That's essentially what that is.
Okay, I think that's enough questions for now. We'll leave most of the other questions to those who will be joining the session. Now, the amazing bits about the session itself is if you are considering joining virtually and you're not able to make it physically, we've made opportunities available for whosoever is looking to join physically, right? I'm sorry, virtually. We'll be streaming it, but also you have to sign up anyway. So yes, we expect that people are physically there because that's where you get the full benefits and everything. But you can as well choose to come virtually. But I think on this note, this is where we'll be wrapping up for this.
There was a question. I'm just in a question.
Oh,
Sorry.
there's a question here.
Rinze or Diary.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying this. Okay, yeah. How can non-residents invest in UK property? Yeah.
Rinze, do you want to ask? Do you want to go for the?
Yeah, you can try and unmute.
How do you mean that, Rinze?
Hi. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to find out, because you seem to, most of what I heard appears to be that the person probably will have to be resident in UK. So what happens with those who live elsewhere, Ghana, Nigeria, but just want to invest in property in the UK? That's what I mean. They don't have no COS, no resident permits, no documents, saying we live in the UK, but they live internationally and want to invest. That's the question.
And when you say they want to invest, they want to invest to own the property and
own the property. Yes, own the property.
Yeah, you can buy property even if you don't live, if you're not resident in the UK. So it then depends. There are lenders also who would lend money to those who are non-resident. But then it depends on what country you're bringing you're coming from. Even there are some Nigerian banks who would lend. They are here UK banks who the Nigerian banks based in the UK. GTB, I know, Access Bank, they have thing here that they will lend money to Nigerians who are non-resident here. So you can get a mortgage in that sense. Obviously, you pay a lot higher interest than someone who's resident here.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, I think I'm not sure if we have any other question in the chat, but yeah, if we have any other question, are you still open to taking any other questions, Cairo?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I think the floor is open to conversations. If you have a question, you can just you can go for it. Fabuda, I think. Yeah, you can go for it.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Carol. My question is, you mentioned earlier that some banks can give a loan. So if I'm to take a mortgage just to get a mortgage, is it still going to be from that bank or from a different bank? Now, this is off record, of course.
Yeah. So it's okay. You stopped recording now, Abi, Yomi.
Let me stop the recording now. Yeah.
Thank you.
So yes, like I said, the banks, majority of lenders don't like you using loans to buy property, but you can. It's possible that you get a loan, not that comes into your account, and then you pay it into your account that you're using for the mortgage. Now, if you're lucky, because back in the day, it used to be easy